Jerome, I actually wanted to ask you about Tyreek Smith and what he's been able to bring to you in practice. Can you tell us what he's been doing behind the scenes?
Yeah, man, it's been great having another live body, and he's strong. He's a really good rebounder, defender. Um, he gets to play the best player on the other team, best forward on the other team, and um, he's fresh, right? So like, it's a live body flying around there, and and he's a grown man, like he just conducts his business in a way that you just really appreciate um, his maturity, and so yeah, it's been good for us.
And with him as obviously an unusual time to recruit him, can't play until next year if his waiver's approved. What was still appealing to you about his situation that you thought he could come in and help the team?
Yeah, well, I've known Reek for a long time, and so there's a long relationship there, and I didn't recruit him the other times that he was available because I didn't feel like I was at a spot or in a position where we could provide him the opportunity needed, and obviously with the fact that Coleman and David, we're going to lose some forwards. We need maturity and someone with some experience at those positions. And so because of what I feel about him and his family and everybody around him, I could look him in the eye and say, man, we have a great opportunity for him here that he provides us something that we need. And so in this league, I felt like in Utah. There were some things that got revealed that were allowed to be revealed. Maybe that's the better way to put it. About the physicality of the league and how guys are allowed to play us. And so it's either that you got to bring in bodies like that so that you can match that physicality, because it doesn't seem like they're going to change the way that the game is being called. And so that's something that he provides. Like he doesn't shy away from the physicality.
And Coleman, how's he been feeling and looking in practice?
Well, we haven't practiced. Today will be our first day to get back together. So, so.
Are you expecting him to be at 100% or near it?
Man, nobody's 100% right now. You just hope they can play.
A couple of questions about that Utah trip. When you watched the Utah game in specific, what stuck out about the rebounding numbers?
They pursued the ball more than we did. Also, in our 6-game win streak, we had 3 and sometimes 4 guards that had 3+ rebounds. And on the Utah trip, our guards didn't rebound for us. And we need our guards to rebound for us.
And then 6 assists against BYU. Obviously, a lot more against Utah. How nice was it to see that number just improve in that game?
Yeah, the way BYU played us, they stayed home and wanted to make it a 2-on-2 game in the middle tunnel, and we weren't patient enough and didn't move enough, and we moved more against Utah. So that we was able to get some of that, but it still took a while, and so it's just something. Well, we have a copycat league. You watch how one team beats another team, and then the next coach is smart enough to say, "Hey, we can implement some of that into it," and that's what happens. And so we know how teams are going to try and stop us now. So now we have to make the adjustment to that, and hopefully we can make it quicker.
With only 5 games left in the regular season, are you guys looking at the bubble at all, or what teams are sort of playing, or how they're trending, or is that something that you just don't even focus on?
No, it was one game at a time. Like we were 1-0, focused on that game, whatever's going on. At the end of the day, somebody else is going to make that decision on bubble or whatever, anything. All we can control is how we prepare and then how we play in the game. I'm excited. 5 games to go, 6, guaranteed with the Big 12 tournament. But, I got a group of guys that are excited about playing, and so I'm fired up about that.
I know Utah is sort of a unique team where their entire starting lineup is 6'6" or taller, and they play with that length as well. Is there something you guys learned about how to defend that length that you guys can take into these final few games? You won't play another team like Utah so much in those games, but, you do still have some lengthy guards and forwards left?
Yeah, their size definitely bothered us. Okay, I think the whole trip, because BYU's the same way. They have real good size. Their size definitely bothered us, and so what we have to do is, we have to let our speed needs to be our advantage and probably play a little bit faster, and try to score more in transition. But in order to do that, you've got to rebound the basketball, and that's why it's so important if guards rebound, because then they don't have to pass the ball to anybody. Hey, just grab it and go, and you can start to break. So trying to score more easy buckets, that moving forward, that's going to help us.
When you're playing a team like Arizona State for the second time through, how different is it preparing for a team the second time? Now that there's been a few games between the last time you guys played.
Yeah, well, we're both going to know each other. And so it's just about who can score the easier buckets and who can make the other team play to their second and third option. That's what it's going to come down to.
And then we've seen a lot of college teams begin to hire general managers and more so dedicated general managers. Is that something that you've had conversations with or are looking at, or where does that sort of stand for you guys?
Yeah, we're definitely having conversations about all of it, especially when you look at college football now, and there are NFL guys that are leaving to come to college. The opportunity to help put a roster together, for those guys, the salary obviously is equivalent for them, and so it's the same way on the men's side in basketball, is that roster management and having certain conversations with guys. Right now we're in the middle of, do we have those conversations right now, and what happens if I have a conversation with Kellis, but I don't have that conversation with you? How does that mess up the locker room? And just all of that. So, yeah, we're definitely talking about it. I'm not making a decision one way or the other. It's just more fact-finding, gathering information, and figuring out what's going to be the best for the program moving forward.
On a similar note, I know there's been discussion about D2 players getting extra eligibility. Is that a conversation with Max that you'd want to have, or?
Oh, no, we've been on the forefront of that one. Yeah, whatever we can do to get Max Jones another year of eligibility, I'm all about it.
I also wanted to ask about Naquan. He signed a 10-day contract with the Cavs. Just your thoughts on him getting a shot.
Man, I'm fired up for him. We have this thing in our transition defense, 3.2, how many seconds it should take you to get back, and there was a clip of him the other day in a game, and it was in our text thread. It said 2.2, how fast he went from offense down to the defense. I mean, he was flying down the court, and I've had several NBA guys reach out about him, because if the Cavs didn't put him on a 10-day, there was going to be another team that was going to pursue him. So proud of him, happy for him. It's just incredible to see young men fulfill their dreams, pursue it that way.
Got to talk about adding on the speed and transition. David has been really good about pretty much once every game for a while now. He beats the defense back, gets an easy layup. What's gone into that? Is that something you guys saw along the way that he could do, or how did that come about?
No, he's fast, right? For his size, his height and length, his speed is the difference maker, and he's quick. And so we try to watch and see, are there opportunities for that, and try to convince him to do it. And Phil has these monitors that they have, and I think 17 miles an hour is you got to hit 17 a couple times a game, and so I know in football it's 20 and 22 and that kind of stuff, but Phil says our court's not long enough for a guy it's hard for a guy to hit 20 on a basketball floor, because it's just not long enough. So, but it's just something, and it's one of his strengths, and anytime we can score easy buckets, man, we got to try and find it.
And he can hit 17?
Yeah, he hit 17. Now we tease him sometimes, and he doesn't like it that he doesn't hit 17. But yeah, he hit 17 regularly.
Yeah, the football guys brag if they get over 22.
20, is that what it? Yeah, I knew it was
They
in the
get just like a
20s.
t-shirt.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I was wanted to ask, are there any pluses or minuses in your mind about playing on Sunday? You got 2 coming up now.
Well, I actually made a couple phone calls to find out how people did, because this week is not. We took 2 off days this week because in 2 weeks we'll play. I think it's there's 3 games in the week, and it's going to be hard to take a day off. And so by NCAA rule, you have to take a day off, or you got to do 2 a week before, a week after, or something like that. And so we took multiple days off this week to help circumvent that. As far as playing on Sunday, I prefer not to play on Sunday, but then I'll look at the referees we're going to have. We're going to have like 3 Final Four referees, so I'm all about that. So there's a benefit of that you have a really great crew, because there are not that many games on Sunday, and on Saturday right now there are just so many games, and that it's hard for all the games to be covered properly.
Go on one? Yeah. Go ahead. Okay.
I was just, excuse me, I was going to ask a little bit about just the resiliency of your guys through the ups and the downs. How do you feel about how they've handled this with the criticism, praise, criticism, what have you?
Well, we try not to listen to any of it. Okay, we try just to focus on that game, and then whatever the result is, we move on to the next one. And what I've seen from our guys is, first they were just a bunch of individuals who were playing basketball, and then they were playing for each other, and now I feel like they're playing for K-State, and that's what and as a coach, I'm proud of that. I'm proud that now they're playing for this, for each other also, but for this, and it means something to them. And so, and I think that's a reflection of the staff, of their character as people, but also our fan base and how they've supported these guys, and there's been criticism, but I don't know that it's been from our fans, right? Our guys have felt the love and the support, and that allows them to keep moving forward and want to keep moving forward. And so,
I don't know if you want to mention anything about this or not, but when they talked about Max, I was just curious, have they given you any kind of time frame? Do you know how that's going to play, whether he will or not, or whatever?
No, we have a compliance department that looks into waivers, and that was one of my specialties. So I'm all about it. We're gonna turn over every rock and figure it out, my man. I'm just telling you. If I was excited because I think there was one kid that got one his thing, and then one kid didn't, and so but normally when one kid gets it, and it's started to avoid a series of lawsuits, they'll just do a blanket waiver like they did for the quarterback at Vanderbilt with the junior college thing. And so I could see that happening. I hope to see that happening. Let me say that. Yeah.
All right, Coach, I just want to ask, Kevin already kind of touched on the bubble and the other teams on it, but how much are you guys paying attention to your own metrics, like the net ranking, Ken Pom? I know you acknowledged all of it at the end of the Big 12 tournament last year, but are you paying attention to it now?
Yeah, I'm trying to learn from last year. I thought maybe I might have put some undue pressure on our guys by putting a number out there or any of that. Man, right now, all we can focus on is just winning the next game, and the blessing of playing in this league is you're always playing against really good teams, and so those numbers kind of take care of themselves if you can win some games. But for us, it's just about winning our next game against Arizona State.
And then the other thing that I want to ask about is the seniors. You know, you guys are coming down the stretch run of the season, but they're coming down the stretch run of their careers. Is that something that you guys talk about, acknowledge, or is that another thing that you'll kind of touch on after the season's over?
Yeah, man, you never know when is the right time to do that. But, you know, like, who knows if every senior is really coming down to the last of their career based on what's going on right now. You know, some of them, you're hearing that they may go to 5 years and the COVID year doesn't count. And, you know, so like that's where it's hard right now as a coach, because you're not exactly sure who's going to be available, who's not going to be available, you know, for sure. So, you know, we're just taking it one at a time. We get to meet together today and watch film and start a scouting report and just, you know, and so we're gonna focus on going 1-0 today.
I got one more. With Max, has he expressed an interest in returning next season, or have you not even had those discussions with him yet?
Yeah, we haven't even had the discussions with him, but I know he's aware of what's happening out there, and you know, I know that if the opportunity is there for him to come back, we are going to do everything in our power to make sure he does.
Playing at home on Sunday, how much easier is it going to be for your guys to maybe just create or not have to create energy and feed off of that crowd energy rather than trying to create it out in Utah?
Yeah, no, the energy our fans bring, man, is just tremendous. And you just, I usually say it's a 10-point advantage, right? But our fans, man, they bring it, and our students, and just, yeah, it's just, I mean, that's why it's so hard to win on the road in any league, but particularly this one, because yeah, I mean, that environment at BYU is as good as it gets, you know, and even at Utah, you know, their fans were involved in the game, you know, and so excited that we get to play in front of our fans. I told y'all the toughest game, that second road game, that back-to-back road, that second one is like hard, you know, and so it's happy that we're home. I'll tell you that.
One other thing that piqued my interest on the Utah swing was in both games you had bigs who were in foul trouble, but when you put them back in with the game with 2 fouls, they're still playing aggressively. I remember David took a charge. Moby was still going up for blocks. As a coach, how aggressively, you know, do you tell players to play when they are in foul trouble versus dialing it back?
You know, one of the things I tell them is that we can get 2 points back, but we can't get a foul back. And so you hope over the course of the season and their careers, you can trust them a little bit more. And you know, I haven't really looked at it, but I mean, some of the fouls we picked up was some tic-tac stuff that if we don't stick our hand in, you know, like things like if you're just a little bit smarter, you know, it help you. But so you just have to trust them, man. And otherwise the game gets away from you, right? And then there's nothing you can do. And I hate fouling guys out in the first half.
Anything else? Okay. Thank you.
Hey, thanks a lot.